Lauren Roberts is the author of Powerless, Powerful, and Reckless. She's recently been talked about quite heavily in the media due to her new releases. There has been some positive stuff about her work, but also some criticisms. I read Powerless last year, and I kind of just wanted to see what her next two books were like myself. So in this video, I read them. Why is it so cringy?
Sir, you are swimming in sewage. She's not gonna taste like heaven.
That is not the end.
Ew! Oh, ew, he's a cannibal.
You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
It's currently the 4th of July.
4th of July?
And my original plan for this video was to reread Powerless, read Powerful, and then read Reckless as soon as it came out. Well, that's not going to happen, and let me tell you why. I started rereading Powerless, and tell me why it was nothing like I remembered it being. I was reading the exact same book that I read last year because I read Powerless last year in November. It got me out of my reading slump, and I really enjoyed it. I literally rated that book like 4 stars. I read Powerless. I don't know if I'd rate it 4 stars, but again, ignore the ratings. I'm gonna leave it and I will be buying the next one. Well, as I started reading it, I was like, why is it so cringy? I was not liking how the sentence structure was. I was not liking anything that was being said. I got a few chapters in and I was like, if I keep reading this, I'm about to drop that rating so low on Goodreads and it's just going to ruin my experience with it when I read it the first time. So not rereading that, I just don't know why it was so different to how I remembered it being. And I'm like, this was the book, right? And I remember it because in my review, I literally talked about how Kai, the main character, would call Peyton like a vicious little thing. And I was like, aside from that, I didn't mind it. But the actual writing itself, and I don't know if it's because I'm not in a reading slump anymore. My nails match my jumper. Literally got no idea what that is. It's not water. Like, what is that? I can't get it off. I just saw it today. So yeah, that's why I'm not reading Powerless, because if I do, my experience will be ruined with it and I won't want to continue, which is bad. And then with Powerful, the novella, well, I was going to do a tandem read. I literally had the entire tandem thing picked out, but because I'm not even reading Powerless, I'm not going to do a tandem read because I'm not going to be reading it. But I have barely made a dent in that. I think I'm like 2 chapters in. So I have to read that. You know what? And I don't even want to read it. I think I might just listen to it. Getting Spotify Premium was like actually the best thing I've ever done. And yes, I could get the student plan, but I wanted the audiobooks and the audiobooks don't come for that. Also, the reason why my maybe look a little bit like red around there and maybe around here is because I just got my eyebrows and mustache waxed. I used to have very thick eyebrows and I did not like them. And so then I would regularly get them waxed and then I just stopped. But now I'm back because I saw my eyebrows the other day and I was like, what has happened? So that's all fixed up now. But beside the point, with Powerful, yes, as full as a dinner. And also, I haven't really done like a plot synopsis. I guess I don't really need to do a plot synopsis because, I mean, if you're watching this video, you know what's going on. Actually, no, I'll include a plot synopsis at like the start of the video before I'm even talking. Okay, you don't care. This book is basically if you take a whole bunch of fantasy stories and blend them all in a blender. In this society, there's just everyone has powers, right? And anyone who doesn't have a power gets killed. That's it, right? And Peyton, the main character, she does not have a power, but she's just like, I'm a psychic. And what she does is she just like analyzes people's body language and things and is like, oh, so you're this, you're that, you're that. And then she gets it right every time because she's just really good at analyzing things, right? Now, Kai, he can basically take people's powers. So when he gets to Peyton and he can't take a power, it's like, hang on a second. But she's like, no, that's just because I'm a psychic. You can't like whatever. And there's this thing called like the purging trials where basically a whole bunch of like elites, because people have powers, are sort of thrown together and have to like basically put through challenges. I have not even really started Powerful. I keep getting mixed up, but I do have notes, which I'll read throughout in a second. But let me explain why I haven't read Reckless yet, because yes, it did come out on the 2nd. In America, I think I was going to get the book. All the bookstores, it was like, oh, it's being released on the 3rd of July, which was yesterday. But the thing about me is I've had one bad experience in a bookstore the last time I went, and so I get nervous looking for books. I get nervous, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm being judged. I feel like whatever book I pick is being judged. So that's why I just prefer ordering them. Reckless is ordered. Don't know when it's going to get here. It's saying next week, so that's great. This video is already not going how I wanted it to. I will, like, these are my notes so far for like, what the hell is happening to this? Why is it so crooked? Okay, but I have notes, but basically I have notes for Powerless at the start. And you're probably wondering, okay, so you're not rereading it, what are you doing? I watched this girl's plot recap on them. I watched both her videos back to back, and now I know what happened. I was just refreshed with everything. There were so many parts of this book that, like, I thought I'd forgotten, but, like, I actually hadn't. Every single time he called her darling, I just thought of that guy on TikTok, how he's like, he's like, and it's like to play when you're in like an Uber. I knew about that guy since like last year, just so you know. What I do like is the fact that there is maps in the books. Also the fact that in Powerful, the names are so similar, but with Powerful, it kind of tells you some of the powers that people have, which I thought was a very nice touch. I did notice the parallels between them immediately. So with Powerless, at the start, she, you know, is stealing sticky buns for dinner. And then in Powerful, in the prologue, it's when they're just meeting each other and when they agree to like work together because Adina's a seamstress and Peyton's the thief. And so then Adina's like, okay, well, your first order of business is stealing me sticky buns. So I liked that. Now we're going to talk about some similar things just because I just need to talk about them. It's just been weighing on my mind, so I just didn't talk about it. One thing I did notice is that the place, it's like Ilya. I don't know, that's how the audiobook people were saying it. I read the selection series when I was 13 and I still remember that the name of the place was like Ilya and I was like, what is going on? And then the main character's name was America because she was named after the country that she lived in currently, and that's what the old name was because America was changed to Ilya. Powerless, it's very similar to, I would say, the Hunger Games, specifically the Goblet of Fire. Did I just say the Hunger Games, specifically the Goblet of Fire? Okay, I'm sorry. It's very similar to the Hunger Games. It's very similar to Harry Potter, specifically the Goblet of Fire. It's very similar to the selection series in some aspects, and also the Red Queen, which I read the Red Queen a few years ago.
Now, as I said in the video, I read this book many years ago, meaning the similarities between Powerless and this book right here were kind of in my mind, but not really. The main things I remembered were how there were two brothers and there was the entire scene with the other brother teaching her how to dance in the middle of the night. Like, I remembered that scene vividly from this book. I did not go through and say all the similarities between this book and Powerless because, like I said, I read this book many years ago, so I don't really remember all of it that well. But if you look up online, there are so many sources of people pointing out similarities between this book and Powerless. I don't even like really scratch the surface. The ones that I made mention of were just from other books, but not really this, which is the main book that has been heavily copied from. Like, it's one thing to be inspired, but like, if you really think about it, what key aspects of the book are really original? That this book, even though I had my own personal things against it, because look, okay, let me explain. When I first read this book, I was like, oh, so she's trying to be like Katniss, right? Little did I know that with Powerless, it's like, I just think it's, anyways.
And I will not be, that's like one of the series that I will not be continuing because I'm like, I did not like it at all. But like that one was trying to be like the Hunger Games too much as well. With the press and the interview part, that was definitely like Hunger Games and like trying to win the crowd favor. That was also a little bit about the selection series as well, because, you know, the crowd could have their favorite about who they wanted to win. And also, even with Harry Potter, there was Rita Skeeter doing her little interview thing. When they did the training at the start, that was 100% like in the Hunger Games when they were doing the training. And then also teaching her how to dance. I distinctly remember there was a scene in The Red Queen where one of the guys taught her how to dance at night. There's a ball, like the Yule Ball, and then there's explosions in like serious situations. Like the selection, I remember there was an explosion scene from like the rebels and like the resistance. See, in my opinion, the trials are very much like Harry Potter, because in the Triwizard Tournament, they had the tasks they had to do. But it's also kind of a mix with the Hunger Games, because then it's like, you guys can like kill each other. And again, the wolves, that's very similar to the mutts in the Hunger Games. They're the people that can project what's happening to like the audience, kind of like the Hunger Games. The main character girl educating the royal prince guy about the poor people in the country that he didn't know about, like the selection. Again, the different task challenges like the Goblet of Fire. The fact that she's good at archery. How everyone has the same color gown, but then she's different. The selection, the maze. Okay, that is literally just the Goblet of Fire. And that's just the stuff that I was able to piece together after watching the summaries. So there is probably other things that like I am not mentioning, but the point is that it's very much a mix of so many different ones. And last year, that didn't bother me. When I read this, it didn't bother me. It's when you lay it all out like that, it's like, it's just so similar to so many other things. I'd like to start reading Powerful. I don't know, I think I just like to get a start on it. I guess I'll see you when I see you.
So I was making my progress with this book yesterday, and it was also very exciting because I also got this book yesterday. And there's honestly like mixed feelings so far, because I will admit I did re-download TikTok yesterday just for a few hours, just because, and then now it's gone again. But I'm a little bit through this book. I mean, it's a novella, and there were some parts that I feel like I wish were a bit more fleshed out. And, you know, obviously, because it's a novella, we're being told things like, oh, this is what happened today and then over the past few days. And it's like, it would be nice to see that. I mean, it's alright. Like, I don't remember her writing being like this. What is this? Please tell me that other people are seeing these ship edits. Do you guys know what mouse pay is? Let's talk about Reckless. I saw this TikTok and it said, I just sat up after I read a comment saying, imagine your favorite author dies and the series goes unfinished and never gets a happy ending because no one knows what happens. And then someone was like, Lauren Roberts, if you die and leave me without giving me a third book after the horrible cliffhanger to Reckless, I'm going to cry. Well, so we know that this book has a cliffhanger, but also this book is so much thinner. Just give me a second. Well, this is the one in the middle. I also saw some drama apparently because the author of The Red Queen was posting TikToks talking about like plagiarism and stuff. Like, do not get me wrong, Powerless has copied so many other books, but like The Red Queen, that main character was such a rip-off of Katniss, and that whole them being in the arena thing was so much like Hunger Games as well. If anything happens to Lauren, I'm gonna go to the afterlife and drag her back, especially after the ending in Reckless. I know that there's going to be some like crazy ending in Reckless, and gonna have to wait until next year in like April 2025 to figure out what's going on. I also saw this TikTok here and it said, reading a book when it's clear they rushed the publishing. And look at that, look what book she's holding. She's holding Reckless. And many people in the comments were talking about how it needed another editor and how there were so many spelling mistakes, and like when it would say the morning dew, it was spelt dew, as in you have an assignment due tonight, not dew, as you would say for the water on grass. And instead of being like men, women and children, it was men, woman and children. I'm not looking forward to that because I do not like when books have things like that in them. I guess we'll just have to see. I also do know how this book ends. How this book ends, right, is that Peyton and Kai hate each other. Like, hate each other. But like, in here apparently, it's like they've forgotten that. These are all kind of cute all together. Oh, it's like a little family. I actually quite like that because I don't think I've ever read a fantasy book where the girl was kind of soft and, I don't know, not just a baddie really. Okay, so what is this? The mundane, offensive, but okay, already some of them are missing. Like, that's not all of them. Because I mentioned someone in one of the chapters and then it's like, they're not even on this list. But that's cool that there's all, like, you know, I like that. And you know, I do love maps. Do I ever use them? No, I don't. But, you know, I just like having it there. The Loch Ness Monster.
You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
I would have waited another 19 years if it meant you were the first good memory I was gifted. Okay, so things have definitely gotten better. I'm like over halfway through now. The way she was being so kind to the king and just freely talking to him. See you in the sky. He calls her hun, which I think would be sweet. Except I have like annoying associations with that word because I've only ever been called that in like a very condescending way. So I know he's not being condescending towards her, but I changed my mind. This is becoming spoiler from now because I need to talk about this. This book is not a lot of, it's a lot of telling, you know, because when those guys were chasing Adina, we found out that Mac like attacked them and then he described her for them and was like, you never go near her. But we didn't see that. And then now, right, like her fingers were broken because she's a seamstress and the king, you know, but like we just get told that. It's very morbid, but I feel like to have seen that would have been better than just being like, oh, this is what happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm cringing. Like, all of me is quite chatty. Who says that? I never thought I would be like defending this selection because I read that book series so many years ago now, but in there, America, her best friend, is Molly. And Molly is hanging around a guard romantically, which is treason, not allowed. So she gets her hands whipped. And, oh, that's such a similarity. So yeah, she gets her hand whipped. And then the guard gets, like, I think it's his back that gets whipped. It was quite, I remember, because she was woken up in the night and it was like, there's something going on. The audience is, like, seeing Molly get her hands whipped. Whereas in Powerless, it was like, oh, her hands, like, they've ruined her hands. Which, that's very, like, a kind of moment. We didn't see it, and like even now, but that's a similarity. I didn't even realize that both of their like best friends get their hands ruined. because Marley gets her hand wet and then she got her hands broken. But the selection one was more impactful because, well, we got to see it, you know? I knew she was gonna die. I already knew this. So why am I crying? Also, I definitely shouldn't be saying this, but last night I did watch the entire Inside Out 2 movie. How, you might ask? I saw a video on TikTok about it. Someone was like, there's no way I just watched the entire Inside Out 2 movie on TikTok, and I was like, and so I scrolled through the comments a bit, and someone had tagged an account. 2 videos this person had, like less than 50 likes. It was the entire Inside Out 2 movie. So yeah, I don't know how to feel. It just feels so wrong. What is going on? I'm just at the page before chapter 23. Hang on. Thanks for picking the closest star. 40 foot, it looks like you'd be. Oh my. In the end, it was all light and dark, loud and soft. I knew nothing but the memory of those I loved. One a friend, the other unfinished. And that alone is what I took with me into the next life. But I watched warm and bright and high above, just as he promised. That is not the end. I don't know what to do. That is not the end. It's giving The Princess and the Frog. Ray and Evangeline. I wish this was longer. I know it's a novella, but still. Isn't it funny how you can just read the prologue again and everything is completely fine, you know? She's still alive. Yep, she's still alive and everything is fine. Oh, I feel sick. I think perhaps it's time to just start Reckless. And also, yes, no more spoiler free. This is gonna be full spoilers, so in my monthly wrap up, give my unspoilery thoughts. But I think I just accidentally got a tear on the page. Okay, so just checking. Isn't there like someone who can like bring them back? Perhaps. Please say that there is going to be a book in the future where, you know, there can be like a quest or something where you get like a wish. And then, no, because Peyton doesn't know about Mac. Wait, no, but she can be told though by the maid because Adina did tell the maid. Okay, so like I'm confused. I thought Mac died. At the end I thought he died, but everyone who read Reckless was like, I was expecting Mac to be a bigger part of it. I thought he died. Did he not die? And then I thought that's when the star, he joined her in the sky, like Evangeline and Ray. Did he not die? Then where did he go in Reckless? Like, I was just like, okay, so he wasn't even mentioned in Reckless yet because he died. Is he alive? That's what can happen. Yeah, there can just be like a wish to wish them back alive. Yeah. You know, perhaps there's a scene like that in this book right here. Well, we're soon gonna find out, isn't it? So apparently this is just gonna pick up after. Okay, shall we start this together? I know you already seen the map, but oh, there's something else. There's an entire family tree. Kai's family tree. Who is Ava? Did they always have a sister? Am I just forgetting that? Is the sister like dead or something? Oh yeah, I think that was a thing. And I've completely forgotten about it. For the reckless souls who dare to be. You know, something about this book where she was just like, I waited to, oh, I don't know, we're not talking about that. The hall's like eerily empty at this hour. I'm about to go outside and weed, so I'm going to listen to this because I'm really liking it. And, well, okay, I'm not really that far into it. But I tried to read it normally and I couldn't do it, so I'm listening to this. I don't have that many audiobook credits left, so... Audiobook credits? It's not Audible. I don't have that many listening hours left. But getting Spotify Premium was, like, the best thing I ever did. But I really like the guy's voice in this. So I'm gonna, like... Don't mind this. Don't mind this song. Basically, you know how there are sometimes work songs? This song was just constantly played at my work. And then I was like, hang on a second, like, I kind of like it. You know what else? There's a song. It's kind of underground. But I'll put it here, right, on the screen. This song was played literally 10 times every single day at my work. And I was like, okay, so this must be like a big song. No, it's not. There's actually so many songs that I consider to be work songs. So some Taylor Swift songs, Down Bad, it's always playing at my work. Also, what else? My Boy Breaks His Favorite Toys, Fortnite, there are other ones, they're gonna come to me. But those are the main ones that are constantly played. The Olivia Rodrigo songs, the So American song, and the, like, You Didn't Cheat But You're Still a Traitor song. Also, Lana Del Rey is always played. The
like ultra-violent song, that is played literally 50,000 times a day. The he hit me and it felt like a kiss, that song, that's always played. So is the Dog Days Are Over song. That song where it's like, the dog days are over. I just always think of that one girl who couldn't make it to the concerts and then she went to go and sing. That made me cry. But I'll play a little bit of this guy's voice because he's a good audio narrator.
Me of stifling days and understandable stupidity that had Kit and me jumping into it.
See, he's got a good voice. Have I done my updates for Powerful? Did I do that? No, I did not. Spotify audiobooks saved my life. I listened to a little bit to get invested and then read by myself. But honestly, the Powerful voices weren't my favorite. So I did read a lot of that myself because I didn't like it. And I definitely feel like the Reckless voices are just so much better. Also, basically, Peyton calls Adina A. Well, she did. That's foul. Kai and Kit have a dead sister and they call her A. I think, yeah, exactly 100 pages through this book. And I thought, okay, I better give you some of my thoughts now. Honestly, first impressions, like, it's alright. To be honest, I'm actually quite liking it. I really do like, I don't know why, but sometimes I really do gravitate towards the storylines where the main characters are, like, utterly alone. And there's, like, not many people around them that they can love or trust, and they just feel very isolated. That's kind of what I'm really being drawn to at the moment. So basically, how this book kind of starts, she's casually chilling in her house when Kai comes back and looks for her and then sets her house on fire. And then she's, you know, traveling through the deserts, the scorches as they call it. And I actually really like it, but I wish we got more of her in the desert, more of the struggle in the desert. Sometimes you say things and it's like, why do you... Okay, so if you'll say this book is quite thinner than the original one, Powerless. And I feel as though it's because there's a little bit of telling in this book. And I'll explain that in a minute, okay? Because she eventually, you know, becomes an underground fighter, right? And it's just like, oh, for the past 4 nights I've been fighting. And it's like, yeah, but where are you staying? What's happening? I feel like we're just skipping over a few things. It's sort of like, this is happening, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I feel like we need to, like, go into this maybe. I don't know. One thing I'd have a question of, though, is there's a part in this book where basically, you know, Kai, because then he's going to the Scorchers to go after her. What does it say? He gets, you know, food from a merchant, and it's like, it's not long before my Imperials are passing around dried strips of what I was told is wild boar, though I'm hardly convinced. Then what is it? Is it human? Is that what it is? He's eating humans. Because what else would it be? Ew! Oh, ew, he's a cannibal. Like, whether or not he knows it, well, he kind of knows it. He says he's got his doubts. What can you have doubts about with wild boar? You know, I could understand if the merchant was like, oh, this is pork. And then he was like, oh, I've got my doubts that it's pork. And it's like, oh, then it could be just wild boar. I know people who have had wild boar before because they were told it was pork. I was like, oh yeah, we hunted this pig and we found it. It was a wild boar. And it's not funny. It's not funny, but they got actually really sick. They didn't die or anything, but they did get very sick. So don't be just eating wild boar. If we go back to the maps, that's where she and Adina used to live. The Scorchers, that's where they trekked through. See, I really like the Scorchers. You know what's crazy about the deserts is you can see mirages and stuff. That is actually horrifying. You're seeing things that aren't there. Like, imagine you're dying of thirst and then you see the water. That is sick. Okay, and then we have Dor and Tando. And I liked, they're in Dor. Are they? She's in Dor, yes? Oh, yes, and then she was going to travel the shallows to go to Isram to see Renesmee in the water. Yeah, and then we had the Sanctuary of Souls. Have we even heard about this? I don't think we've even heard about that. Or the Plummet. That's kind of exciting. And all the Whispers. Have we heard about that? I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she's in Dor. She's in one of those cities. I really like the vibe of the city. Now, one thing is, the word sticky has already been used so many times already. And it's just used quite a lot. And it's like, I think at that point, you just need to look up sticky synonym and then use one of those things because it's used so much. Also, yeah, what's happened is she's a fighter and basically he's now just found her in the underground and he's chasing after her. And now she's like trying to escape, running away from him. Now they're about to have their first... Why does my hair look like that? Like, now they're having their first interaction. Okay. Also, we actually even got a Kit POV when that was all like... What was it? Oh yeah, he was like, I'm sick of being the villain. Well, then don't be a villain. Like, your dad is dead. You know, it's not like he is there, like, watching over you. Like, stop being a villain then. I know it's a more complicated situation. I'm just saying. So I guess I'm going to continue reading. And yeah, you know, I'm hoping I can finish this book over the next few days. And honestly, I think I can. Wish me luck. It's honestly, like, not that bad. Like, I went into this with very low expectations with everyone liking it. Guys, I don't know. I feel like maybe perhaps the writing has improved, but I couldn't do it. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happened between, I suppose, no, November me and me now. That's like quite a considerable amount of time, I would say. Plus, I was coming off the back of like months-long reading slumps. So actually, I started watching this yesterday, and I think I'm gonna continue watching it. It's the Dallas cheerleaders thing. I've just seen so much about it on TikTok, and I'm just like, okay, well, now I want to know what it's about. So I guess I'm gonna watch this actually instead. Do you know what I love about Netflix is that you can increase the speed. So this is the lifesaver for me. I feel like I should just preface this by saying that I'm not really feeling the most at the moment. Like I'm feeling a little bit numb at the moment. So maybe if I don't feel like a certain strong emotion, that's why. Just curiously, their fighting names are Flame and Shadow. Like what is up with that? I'm not trying to be mean, and I know there is a reason why, but it's a little bit cringy, yes? It does feel like a little bit of a game of tips, just because, well, he's just chasing her. And it's like, he gets her, but then he doesn't kill her. And then she doesn't kill him. And it's like, what are the stakes? You know, Adina was mentioned briefly at the start, but she just kind of been forgotten a little bit. Like, she's just really, like, not mentioned that much, like, at all now, which I guess, you know, she's suppressing her emotions and feelings of her, but also, she's traveling through the Scorches. Is that what it was called in Throne of Glass? The Scorches? Is that what it was called? No, it was just that. But like there is also a sewage scene, and I was like, this feels like Throne of Glass, as well as Ratatouille. There was also a scene where people were being shot with arrows, and there was like, oh, I knew that was your arrow because it was red. And have you seen The Simpsons? Why does that keep dropping? Have you seen The Simpsons movie? Well, in there, when basically there's an incident in The Simpsons movie and they're getting shot with arrows, and one of them is like, I've got a red arrow. I think it's Nelson. Also, when they were like in the water, in the sewage, right? Because this is just full spoilers, you know. When they were they're like thrashing in the water. That was so Rapunzel. I was half expecting her to be like, oh, my silver hair actually glows when I sing, because it was just so similar, and just how everything ended up. I was like, this feels like the scene from Rapunzel when Rapunzel and Eugene are like under the water. I also, how they think they're about to die, I wouldn't actually mind dying. And also, okay, so they kiss, and he's like, she tastes like heaven. Sir, you are swimming in sewage. She's not gonna taste like heaven. Like, let's not fool ourselves. They were like, it was mainly water. Yes, the water they were in was mainly water, but also, there was also sewage, so don't even. But there was actually a situation, you know, when he like, is sinking to the ground and she saves him, like, I was actually like, oh, well, after he like saved her, and then he was drowning, I actually did feel that a little bit. I don't know. The stakes are all gone because they're just chasing each other, and we know that she's not gonna die because they don't want to kill them, you know? At the end of the last one, I was expecting like to be much more extreme than this. I know I did not just see AI art of the sewage scene. No, I didn't. Ew. Okay, so I have some updates. Look at the concealer under my eyes. Okay, I've been over this before. No one's here for my appearance. Basically, the tips game is over. Kai was in, chasing after Peyton. He got her, but instead of her chasing him back, like, that was it. Now they're just hanging out. There's like no more high stake. Well, they're trying to get back now, and he's like, chain them together. Shrek vibes. See, no, I just relate everything to other forms of media. I'm not saying she like plagiarized Shrek, okay? They just keep saying they hate each other, and it's like, okay, but you're not really showing, you're not really like, the way that you're behaving would suggest otherwise. The scenes are just getting skipped through. Very fast paced. The scenes are just going like that, you know? It's like, okay, we're here. Okay, moving on. I wish we got more world building. Eventually the sanctuary of souls is mentioned. I wanted more descriptions of the place. This entire book, they're mainly just together. There was a little bit of separation at the start, and now they're just together the entire time, and they're still together. Basically, there's a scene where there was a flyer, and he was looking at the flyer being like, they haven't put enough freckles on there for you. And again, Rapunzel vibes. There's a lot of forced proximity scenes. Like, basically, it's just, the entire book is forced proximity. Normally, when it's a forced proximity scene, like, it's like, whoa.
It's like the characters have been separated for so long, but then they're forced proximitying. But it's not really. It's like kind of losing its effect in this book. But he does say some very good things. He was like to her, that was my wrist. He was like, jealousy looks good on you. And she was like, I'm not jealous. And he was like, well, then you just look good. And then we have a bandit scene. I kind of like the word bandit. Wild West vibes. She is about to get her hair cut off. She's like to him, there's like blood in her hair. And she's like to him, cut it off. He's all like, whoa. So remember when I was saying this about like Rapunzel? Yeah. Can't take this concealer seriously. Like, look at that. I watched this movie last night. What's it called? I need to delete TikTok again, but I saw this girl she gave like this aesthetic vibe of, you know, like small towns. She recommended this movie called The Skeleton Key. I watched it last night. Have you seen that movie? What do you think of the movie? Oh, I forgot to mention also her dad has like a whole bunch of like letters and stuff. Not letters, like diary entries and everything. I honestly love when there are like diary entries and books and stuff. Okay, so we have finished the book, and yes, he did cut her hair. And as he was cutting her hair, it was a very symbolic moment, you know, because she was letting out her emotions of all the deaths she's witnessed. So at least Adina, she's been mentioned a few times throughout the book. Remember when I said that she wasn't being mentioned at all? But like, I don't know, I just felt like she would have had like a bigger part in this book. I also kind of forgot that like Kit and Kai had a mother, and Kit goes and like sees her and everything. There's a scene in this book where they find the poppy fields, right? Which is like this on the cover. So because of this, then I was like, oh wait, no, the covers actually mean something. And I went on a little deep dive, right? Basically you see that that's a willow tree. That's because Kai and Kit's sister is buried underneath the willow tree. And then the Barnes and Noble exclusive edition of this book is blue because Kai is like, imagine it's a forget-me-not, which are blue flowers, I think. I don't know, I've actually never seen a forget-me-not. Fifi, forget-me-not, stop! Anyways, after Kai, you know, chops off her hair, whatever, there's a scene, and he's like, you know, I've always had a thing for short hair. Parallel to Eugene being like, I've had a thing for brunettes, or whatever he says. Now, when they're in the poppy field, you know, it's just kind of nice, and it's kind of like the calm. Why does my nose look so red? It's kind of like the calm before the storm. Everything's nice and peaceful. A little bit like Shrek. You know, when Shrek gets Fiona and is wanting to bring her back to Lord Farquaad so that he can get his swamp back, and everything is like really nice and peaceful. When he and Donkey, you know, like Rapport, it's like the last little bit before they have to go home. Again, like Kai, he says some really good lines. He says some things that are just like, yeah, that's what a dream man would say. That's the wedding ending. So Kit proposed. Now, unfortunately, I knew this was gonna happen. Literally, before I barely even started reading the book, I was seeing things about it, and someone in the comments was talking about how he proposed. So I've known this entire time that he was going to, and I just tried to ignore it. I couldn't. So he proposed, and I hate love triangles. Like, I just think they're so annoying and stupid, and I hate them. But, you know, we know that she's gonna end up with Kai, because, like, obviously she is. I don't even have to have the next book to know that she's gonna end up with him. How many books is gonna be in this series? Is it just a trilogy with, like, little spin-offs? I don't know. But the next one is coming out next year, I believe. So, will I be reading that one? Yes, I will. Also, apparently the author of this book said that this book is kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like the calm before the storm, because things are going to be crazy in the third one. Also, why do so many places, like, why is the willow tree, why in so many pieces of media is the willow tree so important? Like in Ice Age, Ellie, the willow tree, Emmanuel Parks, the willow tree. Honestly, this book was fine. I don't know. Now I know. And time to move on to the next one. What was I going to talk about? Now that is the end of this video, and was I going to say something important? Oh yeah, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.